Hey there, Michael here. Just doing a quick comparison today between the Yongnuo 100mm f2 lens and the Canon 100mm f2 lens. Comparing, things like sharpness, the contrast, just overall how the image appears, exactly getting down to the nitty-gritty of the actual technicality of the lenses, as I would expect them both to be pretty good. 100mm lens doesn't usually call for much distortion or pin cushioning or things like that, which will affect the attributes of the picture. But these lenses are usually used for portraits, so just taking some shots of my daughter inside, wide open at f2 on both lenses, using the same settings, one on an APS-C camera, the Canon 40D, and the other on the Canon 5D. Okay, both old bodies I know, but still good old bodies. So let's have a look at these pictures.
Okay, to start off, we've got the 100mm Canon lens on the 40D body, the crop sensor body, and we can see that it's extremely sharp. The colors are good and natural. I'll zoom in. We can see that it's quite sharp on the eyes. The hair detail is quite sharp for this camera. And we'll go to the next image, looking at the Canon 100mm again. When I use the Canon lens, I asked my daughter to make a C with her hands, so we can see that it's still quite sharp. I was focusing on the closest eye to get these images. Go to the next photo. Now we're on to the Yongnuo lens. You can see because she's making the Y with her fingers, and we can see it's a little bit softer on the eye. I was definitely focusing on the closest eye. We'll go to the next image. This is Yongnuo again, and it's just a tad softer than the previous one. This is still on the 40D, and going over now to the 5D with the Canon lens, the 100mm, and we can see that it's extremely sharp on the Canon 5D. The picture's looking very pleasant. Pleasant contrast and tones for portrait photography, as we would expect, and it's all working very well. We'll go to the next one. This is again on the Canon 5D with the Canon 100mm, and we can see it's extremely sharp. It looks wonderful. The colors are great. Contrast is good. I've done no changes to any of these photos in Lightroom. And again, this is the Canon lens, and it's still looking absolutely dead on sharp. I was focusing on the eye, and it's working extremely well on the Canon 5D. Now we move on to the Yongnuo lens, and we can see that there is an issue with the focus. I'm sure I was focusing on the closest eye, which is this one, and it seems to have back focused onto the other eye because her head's a bit of an angle there, and it hasn't focused on the eye that I actually focused on. And we can see that this is a consistent problem with this lens. It might just be my copy, it might be my camera, I'm not sure, but obviously it's back focusing there, and not on the eye that I was focusing on. I always focus on the eye closest to me, so there is a problem there. And going now on the 5D, doing the full length shot, and this is the Yongnuo, and it is missing focus on my daughter. I was focusing on her eye. She was keeping relatively still, and you can definitely see it's focused on the background there for some reason. Let's go to the next one, and again the Yongnuo, and you can see it's completely missed focus, and it's focused on the background somewhere here. Okay, that's not good. And again, you can see it's focused on the background. So these are all different shots and the same problem occurring. Each time I would have focused on the closest eye, this one, and then recomposed, just as I've done with all these photos. Now going on to the Canon, same technique used. I would have focused on this eye, and you can see the eyes are sharp, and it's where we want it to be focused, on the two eyes. The two eyes are sharp, and it's definitely working properly. Again, I was using the same technique, same camera, same settings, and this is with the 5D again, and you can see the Canon lens is getting really sharp focus, whereas that Yongnuo, there was something going on. This time I had her hand in front and I was still focusing on the eye, and you can see it's sharp, very sharp. Okay, that's the end of them. And I think you'll agree there seemed to be an issue with the Yongnuo. Basically with these ones, it missed focus completely. These were exactly the same settings as these ones here. So there's no real reason for this to have happened. It's actually focused on this cloth over here, the background. I don't know why. Same settings, same technique, everything. It's missing focus, obviously. And then with the closer headshots, you can see the Yongnuo was focusing behind again. I would have been focusing on the closest eye here, yet it's focused on the eye further back, which is, and it's done it consistently. You can see it's done it 1, 2, with all these shots, and then back with the Canon lens here on the 5D, and you can see it's dead sharp on the eyes. Focus is perfect. So there is an issue with the Yongnuo lens, unfortunately. Or my copy. I'm not sure if this is an issue with other lenses, or it's just an issue with this combination of the 5D with the Yongnuo lens. But obviously the Canon lens is nailing focus every time. It's getting it right, and the Yongnuo lens is a bit hit and miss. With the 40D, the Canon, again, the Canon lens on the 40D, it's dead sharp. And then we'll go and find a Yongnuo lens, this one, and again you can see it's not focused on the eye, and I would have focused on this eye. It seems to be focused around here somewhere, so it seems to be back focusing for some reason. I don't know if it's my issue of the lens or it's a general problem with this lens. I'm not sure, but that is a bit disappointing. And yeah, so I've got a problem with my lens, and that's the end of this review. Thank you very much.